Well, good morning, and welcome to everyone who has come along today, whether you're joining us here in the building or online. I'm glad that you could join us on this morning as we go on a journey through the scriptures and in song, remembering that on this day, some 2,000 years ago, God sought to deal with humanity's biggest problem, our sin. Our sin that separated us from him and that has caused our world to be brought under a curse of evil. And it's evil and pain and suffering that we see in our world that results from our sin and rebellion against God. Sin can be downplayed, but sin is indeed nothing to laugh at. It is serious. It separates us from God and makes us not be the people we were created to be. But God, in his great love for us, was not happy to simply leave us wallowing in our sin, helpless and unable to do anything about it. He loved us so much that he sent his one and only Son, Jesus. And that's why, as you'll hear today, Jesus goes through so much. Because even though sin had caused a big mess, even though sin had made us enemies with God, in his great love for those whom he created, he came to sort out our mess, to deal with our sin, to pay the punishment we deserved by giving his Son for us and enabling us to be brought back into right relationship with him. And so today we'll reflect, we'll remember, and we'll rejoice in this story of God's love that came to save sinners. Please turn your eyes to the screen.
He was despised and rejected by mankind, a man of suffering and familiar with pain. Like one from whom people hid their faces, he was despised and we held him in low esteem. Surely he took up our pain and bore our suffering. Yet we considered him punished by God, stricken by him and afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was on him, and by his wounds we are healed. We all, like sheep, have gone astray. Each of us has turned to our own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed and afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. He was led like a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before its shearers is silent, so he did not open his mouth. By oppression and judgment he was taken away. Yet who of his generation protested? For he was cut off from the land of the living. For the transgression of my people he was punished.
Searched me, you know my way. Even when I fail you, I know you love me. Your holy presence surrounding me in every season. I know you love me. I know you love me. At the cross I bow my knee, where your blood was shed for me. There's no greater love than this. You have overcome the grave. Your glory fills the highest place. What can separate me now? Shield my way. Your hand upholds me. I know you love me. At the cross I bow my knee, where your blood was shed for me. There's no greater love than this. The highest place. What can separate me now? You tore the veil, you made a way. When you said that it is done, you tore the veil, you made a way. When you said that it is done. And when the earth fades, falls from my eyes, and you stand before me, I know you love me. I know you love me. At the cross I bow my knee, where your blood was shed for me. There's no greater love than this. You have overcome the grave. Your glory fills the highest place. What can separate me now?
When he had finished praying, Jesus left with his disciples and crossed the Kidron Valley. On the other side there was a garden, and he and his disciples went into it. Now Judas, who betrayed him, knew the place because Jesus often met there with his disciples. So Judas came to the garden, guiding a detachment of soldiers and some officials from the chief priests and the Pharisees. They were carrying torches, lanterns, and weapons. Jesus, knowing all that was going to happen to him, went out and asked them, "Who is it you want?" "Jesus of Nazareth," they replied. "I am he," Jesus said. And Judas, the traitor, was standing there with them. When Jesus said, "I am he," they drew back and fell to the ground. Again he asked them, "Who is it you want?" "Jesus of Nazareth," they said. Jesus answered, "I told you that I am he. If you are looking for me, then let these men go." This happened so the words he had spoken would be fulfilled. "I have not lost one of those you gave me." Then Simon Peter, who had a sword, drew it and struck the high priest's servant, cutting off his right ear. The servant's name was Malchus. Jesus commanded Peter, "Put your sword away. Shall I not drink the cup the Father has given me?" Then the detachment of soldiers with the commander and Jewish officials arrested Jesus. They bound him and brought him to Annas, who was the father of Caiaphas, the high priest that year. Caiaphas was the one who advised the Jewish leaders that it would be good if one man died for the people.
When I survey the wondrous cross on which the Prince of Glory died, my richest gain
Meanwhile, the high priest questioned Jesus about his disciples and his teaching. "I have spoken openly to the world," Jesus replied. "I always taught in synagogues or at the temple, where all the Jews come together. I said nothing in secret. Why question me? Ask those who heard me. Surely they know what I said." When Jesus said this, one of the officials nearby slapped him in the face. "Is this the way you answer the high priest?" he demanded. "If I said something wrong," Jesus replied, "testify as to what is wrong. But if I spoke the truth, why did you strike me?" Then Annas sent him bound to Caiaphas, the high priest. Then the Jewish leaders took Jesus from Caiaphas to the palace of the Roman governor. By now it was early morning, and to avoid ceremonial uncleanness, they did not enter the palace because they wanted to be able to eat the Passover. So Pilate came out to them and asked, "What charges are you bringing against this man?" "If he were not a criminal," they replied, "we would not have handed him over to you." Pilate said, "Take him yourselves and judge him by your own law." "But we have no right to execute anyone," they objected. This took place to fulfill what Jesus had said about the kind of death he was going to die. Pilate then went back inside the palace, summoned Jesus, and asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" "Is that your own idea?" Jesus asked, "or did others talk to you about me?" "Am I a Jew?" Pilate replied. "Your own people and chief priests handed you over to me. What is it you have done?" Jesus said, "My kingdom is not of this world. If it were, my servants would fight to arrest by the Jewish leaders. But now my kingdom is from another place." "You are a king then," said Pilate. Jesus answered, "You say that I am a king. In fact, the reason I was born and came into the world is to testify to the truth. Everyone on the side of truth listens to me." "What is truth?" retorted Pilate. With this, he went out again to the Jews gathered there and said, "I find no basis for a charge against him. But it is your custom for me to release to you one prisoner at the time of the Passover. Do you want me to release the King of the Jews?" They shouted back, "No, not him. Give us Barabbas." Now Barabbas had taken part in an uprising.
Save that
his bones will be broken. And as another scripture says, they will look.
The hope of every man of Jesus washes me. Slain.
How do we get justice? It seems like we've got a few answers as we look at the happenings in our world. We protest for it. We educate about it. We engage in political activity. And we seek power in order to exert justice. And some of these things may help a little bit, but many of them will have unintended consequences, and none of them will make a perfect world, because the injustice in our world runs deep. And the story of Jesus' death on the cross that we're remembering today speaks very pertinently into this issue of injustice and justice, because the story of Good Friday in and of itself is a story of injustice and justice. For of course, as we've read the story this morning, it's clear, isn't it, that a great injustice occurred on that first Good Friday. An innocent man of low status from an ethnic minority was wrongly convicted by those with privilege and in power. There isn't much more injustice than that. We can even see that Pilate, who had some power, was actually trying to do the right thing. He wanted to release Jesus, but he was kind of ganged up on by the mob. The rule of law unable to be exercised, and a great injustice carried out. An innocent man murdered. And yet, though we know that story of the death of Jesus unjustly at the hands of the Jewish leaders and the Roman Empire, we call today a good day, Good Friday. And that's because though there was no just reason for Jesus to die, though he had done nothing to deserve it, Jesus was sent by God in order for cosmic justice to be done. Jesus was sent into this world to pay the price for sin that we could never pay. You see, ultimately, injustice springs out of sin. It is the fruit, if you like, of a sinful, broken world. And Jesus came to deal with it, to deal with sin, to deal with the sin in this world, but more particularly to deal with the sin of you and me. One of the missing features, I think, today in our world's attempts to gain justice is often soaked in self-righteousness. We need justice for those people, and I'm going to achieve it for them because I am good. But of course, the Bible teaches us that all of us are part of the problem, all of us just as guilty as the next person, because all of us have sinned. All of us have rejected God. All of us have chosen not to live by his word, but by our own will. Jesus went to the cross to deal with sin. He said to Pilate, didn't he, my kingdom is... He knew what he was doing.
Don't know that it's Friday. The Romans, they robe him in scarlet. They crown him with thorns. But they don't know his body's stumbling, burdened, but you're winning. People and evils grinning. It's Friday. The soldiers nailed my saviors, and then they raised him up next to tell you something. Sunday's coming. The disciples are questioning what has happened to their king. and the Pharisees are celebrating that their scheming has been achieved. But they don't know it's only Friday. Sunday's coming. It's Friday. He's hanging on the cross, feeling forsaken by his Father, left alone and dying. Can nobody save him? Oh, it's Friday, but Sunday's coming. It's Friday. The earth trembles. The sky grows dark. My King yields his spirit. It's Friday. Hope is lost. Death has won. Sin has conquered. And Satan's just a laughing. It's Friday. Jesus is buried. A soldier stands guard, and a rock is rolled into place. But it's Friday. It is only Friday. Sunday is a coming.